Hey everybody. So I'm going to do one of the most important videos that you'll see this cycle on BTC. I'm going to explain quite a few things and I'm going to break down where I think the bottom is going to appear in this bear market. I did in the last cycle, the last bear market, I did call the bottom down within this range here. And then I did call the top on BTC up here as well. And we're going to look at a few things. I'm going to point out reasons why I think that we're going to hit the box that I'm going to draw in. And I'll explain where I think the price is probably going to go shortly after that. There's a lot of people out there that have been calling for, $1 million Bitcoin. I think it's going to take a while before we get there, but some of the altcoins are going to way outperform Bitcoin, and I go into some of those within the Patreon. But I will explain BTC and what's likely to happen on BTC on Bitcoin. But first, we need to look at prior cycles. And I know a lot of people probably sit back and think, well, you can't use prior cycles to predict where Bitcoin's going to go. And I beg to differ, and I'm going to point that out for you. So let's look at BTC's entire cycle here, and we're going to go from, let's do top to top. We can actually go all the way back here. So each one of these are weeks. I'm going to change it to months real quick. Each candle is going to be a month. And I'll probably change it back here in a second, but I do want to point something out. So each one of these candles is 1 month. This is Bitcoin's inception in 2010. I don't think it shows 2009, but we just need this high right here. So we're going to go from top to top. It is 29 bars. Okay, so one cycle was 29 bars. You had a bear market and then another cycle. So if this one's 29 bars, what's the next one going to be? Top to top, 49 bars. Okay, so let's go to the next one here. Top to top. Okay, 46 bars. So 49, 46, and then we're going to go top to top. 47 bars. So it's roughly, at least the past 3 cycles was around 46 bars, right? Let's look at this one more time. 49, 47, and 47. Okay, so let's actually use 47 bars. All right, so the next top should be somewhere roughly around 47 bars, which should be in September of 2029. So maybe September through December is when BTC should top. Put a vertical line right there. Okay, so let's go. These cycles were pretty accurate. So let's go from top to bottom. There was actually 2 bottoms here. Right, so it's 14 bars to 21 bars. So 14 to 21, top to bottom. So 14 and then 13, right? And then this one was 13. So from top to top, at least one bottom should be 13 bars. Okay, so 13 bars brings this to October or November. Okay, so let's put a bottom there. And it could have, 2 bottoms. There's a way it could have 3 bottoms as well, and I'll kind of explain that later. But this should be the top, right? And this should be the bottom. All right, so now we're going to take the percentage decreases. Okay, so you take this, and you've got 93%. So from top to bottom it fell 93%, and from top to bottom here it fell roughly 86%, so it's decreasing. This one here, 85%, maybe 84%. Okay, so it's still decreasing. This one was 75%. So if this is 85% and then this is 75%, this one here should be 75% or less. All right, so where does that bring us? 75% from the top, from this top candle here, brings this down to $32,000. Okay, so let's put a horizontal line right here. Okay, now let's look at maybe some support and resistance here. Okay, so your major support would be you have some pretty significant support right here, and then you also have some pretty significant support right here. Okay, and we did have a double bottom at one point, so let's go ahead and do this. It was 7 bars, so you had a consolidation range of 7 bars. So we should bottom somewhere around here, and then you might have consolidation for those 7 bars. Okay, so boom. All right, now we're going to draw a box. And let's just take a rough estimate. There's some variance here. So we should end up somewhere around there. I would even put a little bit more variance on this just to extend it out a little bit. Maybe even to 40. I would almost even put it to 40,000. Okay, just because there's a little bit of support up here at that 38,000, 40,000, plus there's psychological support at 40,000. And that is where I think BTC is most likely going to end up. Okay, between 40,000 and 30,000 based on all the prior cycles. Now, where is it going to go price-wise to the upside? Now, there is one situation where BTC could go sideways from this point. I think it's less likely. But we would know that in a few months, I would say, if it's just going to have like a triple bottom or something different than it's ever done. But that's why I teach the indicators in the Patreon, and I break that down twice a week. So the members will definitely be aware of that. But I do want to point this out for everybody for free. So, all right, and where are we going to go price-wise? So let's just look at the past 3 cycles. So the first cycle, bottom to top, it went up 12,000%. Okay, so the next cycle should be less, right? Based on the halvings of Bitcoin, supply and demand, the standard stuff that any type of metal, anything with supply and demand and a limited supply. Okay, so you have 12,000% that cycle. Now you have 2,000%. So it went down a factor of 5, right? So 12,000 to 2,000. So it's less than so this next cycle should have been 400% or so, right? So if it's at or 700%, right? So if this one's 2,000. This one's 700%. It's decreasing. So if we end up in this box, we're probably going to go up anywhere from, I'd say, 300% to 600%, just to be safe there, right? It's decreasing every time. I wouldn't see this just go up 200%. It wouldn't really make sense, but I don't think it would go up quite as much as this one here. But again, you have to be paying attention to the indicators, and you have to be watching the momentum of the market. You can say a price, but you also want to follow along with the indicators. Okay, so if that's 750%, if we bottom at 35,000, you should at least go up to 150,000. Okay, you could go up to 250,000. All right, and then you should top somewhere up here. Okay, 150 to 250,000. Okay, and it should be around that time. Oops. 150 to 250,000. Of course, you have a rough estimate, right? So based on math, you should bottom here, and you should top somewhere within this range. Okay, it could be a little bit lower than that. I highly doubt it, though. I think you would make a new all-time high, but eventually I would see BTC kind of just dwindling and going more sideways rather than such parabolic moves over time. If you look, all of these trend lines are getting, they're not as parabolic as you're going on, right? They're getting less and less parabolic. So eventually this, over however many cycles, you're just going to see it dwindle down over time. Now the altcoins are different. Of course, they're going to still go parabolic for quite a few cycles before kind of tapering down. But I think it's just going to take a lot longer for BTC to reach $1 million than what a lot of people are saying. It's definitely counterintuitive to what the media is putting out there, but that is, the media doesn't want you to get things right. If they wanted you to win, 1% of the population wouldn't have all of the wealth. There's information for normal people, and then there's information that gets presented to you by people like me that read charts, and people that have insider knowledge. So that's where I'm at on BTC. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to learn how to do this better, you can check out the Patreon. It's in the link in my bio. I do 2 videos a week. I will answer any questions that you have. I'll cover any token that you want, and I give you updates regularly to what's going on in the market. If there's anything going on, it's probably going to be a slow time for BTC until we end up bottoming out here, and we'll be ready for it. We're all prepared for it. We held off on buying for right now. There are a few situations and levels that if they broke, then we would start buying again. But right now is potentially not a good time to be buying any kind of cryptocurrencies. At least long term doesn't really matter, right? If you're looking 10 years in the future, you could buy right now, and you'd probably still make money on a lot of the stuff that at least it's major cryptocurrencies. So if BTC hits that box, a lot of the altcoins are most likely going to fall pretty hard as well. So I go over that in the Patreon. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope everybody has a good day.